The Magic Kitchen podcast is funded and supported by thewitchwoodteahouse.com, offering a variety of hand-blended loose leaf teas as well as loose herbs for all of your ritual, spell work, wellness, and everyday enjoyment needs. If you would like to support this podcast while sipping a great cup of tea, head over to thewitchwoodteahouse.com and find the magic that's in store for you.
This time in the Magic Kitchen, we're answering the question, is TikTok ruining witchcraft?
I'm Leandra Witchwood.
And I'm Elise Wells.
And welcome to the Magic Kitchen podcast, where we talk about magic, kitchen witchcraft, herbs,
and everything in between.
Elise and I have been talking about the whole idea of where we get our information and who's teaching the information to those of us who are on social media platforms like TikTok, even Instagram. And what we're finding is this increase in, I don't want to call them baby witches, but inexperienced witches teaching other inexperienced witches. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about this several times. And I think it really warrants coming back to the topic, because when we are still discovering our path, we're still trying to figure out what that means to us, what witchcraft means to us as an individual. It's really important that we're not misleading other people. Not to assume that everybody out there teaching on social platforms is misleading. I know there's a couple that they're very experienced witches and they give very valuable content, but they are few and far between. What I'm noticing more of is witches who have just been introduced to the path. Maybe they've been practicing 5 years, maybe, and they still have a very limited knowledge of the nuances.
Yeah. And I think too, and we're going to talk more about like TikTok and like some of the changes to that platform in the past couple of weeks and how that's also making it a dangerous space for witches. But yeah, we want to just start with kind of the conversation we've been having over the past 10 seasons. What?
Wow.
Because we share a lot about, about discernment and how important it is, but it's also something we have to keep reminding ourselves about. Like even Leandra and I, we learn new ways to be discerning all the time.
Always.
So, and it's never to shame anyone. Like a lot of the folks I see on TikTok sharing their knowledge now, and I want to preface this with, I don't use TikTok. I used it for maybe a year and it really drained my energy. I really disliked the space.
It is.
I had more harassment there than I've had on Instagram, which is saying a lot because I have a lot of harassment.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so it's not a space I enjoy at all. So I will say that too. But I think the reason I don't enjoy it is because of these things that we're going to talk about. So
yeah. Like I probably use TikTok more than Instagram, but honestly, I do not show up on social media because I found really quickly that it does not serve my path. What I do find, and I know this is prevalent because if I'm experiencing it, I'm not some anomaly. What it does is it works really well to draw up these emotions of I'm not good enough. I'm not doing it right. I don't have enough ingredients. I can't do that spell because I'm not doing it the way they did it. It's
comparison.
It's very much keeping up with the Joneses type energy. And I don't appreciate that because that does nothing to anchor you and ground you in your practice. And if you're not anchored and grounded in your practice, and I want to emphasize your practice because your practice is not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like Elise's. It's not going to look like, Witchy Jane on TikTok who has the beautiful brim hat and the beautiful dress and the beautiful backdrop or whatever, however they're presenting themselves. And it's important to always remember, and this is something we've said many times, is you're seeing the best polished version of whatever they're doing. You're not seeing the messy back end. You're not seeing how they got there, the mistakes they made, or maybe there's mistakes they're about to make. And that's another thing that I've noticed is I'm watching witches do their quote unquote spells on this platform, and I'm seeing the holes in it. I'm seeing the vulnerabilities in it. And as an experienced witch, if I wanted to, I could attack that spell right then and there. I could take it down, but I'm not that kind of person. Not to say there's not other people out there like that. I just had a conversation with a friend. We were talking about how there is this toxic witchcraft experience in the world. And I don't see it because I'm very far removed from it, but her clients experience this where witches are hexing witches and, oh, I didn't like the way you looked at me, so I'm going to cross you. And, it's really like a high school game, an immaturity that comes along with their craft. And that's not where you want to be. When we want to stand in our power, we don't want to do that out of vengeance to others. We don't want to do that to bring others down. We don't want to do it because we have this need to shine brighter than other people and outshine other people. We should be doing it to, especially now, especially with all the shit that's going on in the world, we really should be coming together, arm in arm. How do we support one another? So when we're exposing ourselves to these other witches, these other experiences, these other energies where it's, oh, look at me, I'm the best. Look at me, I'm so perfect. Look at me, I can do this. And you didn't know it, nanner, kind of energy. That's definitely the feeling I get from it, is the nanner energy, the mean girl energy.
So I have a different take on those aesthetic witchcraft ritual videos. I see two sides of it, because on one side, I know what it's like to try and get attention in an algorithm. As a spiritual business owner, I have to be on Instagram. I can have the luxury to not be on TikTok because I've tried it, and I don't think that's where my client base lives. They're on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram for you, and Facebook, because they're linked, so it's easy. And I'm on Threads. I love Threads. Almost too much. Threads actually, for the past 2 weeks, especially since the new year, has been my top app that I've been using because I don't have to have sound and it's not so garish. I have it in night mode, so it's just like text, white text on black background. It's much more calming for the nervous system to take in news and information for me. So anyway, all that to say, I think when you're creating reels or videos to try and get attention, I think people fall into the trap of, oh my gosh, I have this really burning real thing I want to talk about, but I'm not going to get attention if it's not filtered, if it's not pretty, if it's not aesthetic, if it doesn't start with a fear-based hook. And that's a hard trap to fight, So I will give that grace to some of these aesthetic creators where they're trying to show people what they can have. Now, I think what's more important, and I think this goes for this applies to every creator I respect on the internet. They are showing you all sides of their path. They will show you, hey, this is what happens when my magic doesn't work. I did this spell, it didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. And I realized it was because of this, blah, blah, blah. If they're sharing real experiences, if they're sharing their failures, if they're sharing their successes in detail and in real, if they're inviting you into their life, I think that's the reality. And now I used to struggle with this because there's a lot of things I don't invite into my life on social media. I'm much more open with everybody here on the podcast because I know that if you're here, you're listening because you support us. You have some love in your heart for Leandra and I. And so I love you back, and I don't have to know you by name to have that love for you. Truly, I do. I love our listeners so much. And so I give you all a little more detailed authenticity than I would give Instagram, where complete haters can find it. But even on Instagram, I've been making a conscious effort to just share the real moments. And a lot of times those videos and pictures bust. They won't go very far, but they will reach, the few thousand listeners and viewers who are most engaged with me and who are actually meant to see that and meant to receive that wisdom. So So I think there's a shift coming in creator content and hopefully in user interaction with creators where you can start to feel, and maybe that's a question to ask yourself, wait a minute, this spell, it looks pretty, but who the heck made it? I don't want to name drop anyone here because genuinely, I don't want to criticize every spell I've ever seen. That's aesthetic because I mean, it's beauty. Humans love beauty. Look at the ancient Greeks, the golden ratio. Look at those temples. Like, we love beauty. We love it.
Beauty's important.
And it makes us feel more witchy to have everything in place. I mean, look at my background. If those have seen me on Seeking Numina, the Sacred Places podcast, you see my background. You see it on Instagram sometimes. Like, I have all sorts of accoutrement. But it's been collected over a lifetime. I mean, literally, one of these wands is from when I was 6 years old. So it's a story. The aesthetics can be part of the story, 100%. But if all a page is, like, let's say you see a cool thing on your Discover page, and it's this like releasing spell or a binding spell for protection, and you're like, oh, I need that right now. And you watch the spell and you're like, oh, that seems really good. You know, maybe it's a simple enough spell and you know your power enough to go for it. But what if you're a new witch? What if you've been enjoying content, but you haven't done a spell yet, but you're like, oh, I need that spell. You can click that creator's page and get to know them. And if that's not possible, if you never see their face, if they don't have any links in their bio, that if it's just a shop, you know what I mean? It's not a person. There's no about page on the website. If there's no, pinned reel with a, hey, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. If there's no, you can't necessarily verify the effectiveness of that spell or the effectiveness of anything that person's going to share because they might not, here's the thing, they might not be a person at all. So what I also wanted to share and speak about is this AI phenomenon. There are a lot of spells and recipes being created by AI and then posted by AI. So I think a lot of people misconstrue that the internet is, that these accounts they're seeing, they assume they're real people. Like, even if it's an AI recipe or video, they assume a real person pressed post. That is not true in a vast majority of the cases. For those who don't know, my husband works in AI, and he has been on the front of this. I even remember in 2013, my brother talking about bots on video games and how easy they are to create and how you could apply them on Facebook really easily. When I canvassed for Bernie Sanders in 2015, we would go to the campaign office in Lancaster County, PA, where I canvassed when I was in college, and they would give us updates on the Russian and Chinese bots that they were tracking and dismantling in our Lancaster County Facebook groups. So it has been around a long time, and it has never been easier to mimic a real person than it is today. So I will say that about witchcraft content, cooking content, decoration content, also the haters. I got a really nasty comment that was using verbs and like he called me pusillanimous. And I was like, this is not a word.
What?
So, and his profile picture was like Oakleys and an American flag. And so I clicked on him. He's never made a post. All he does is comment, and he uses this like verbose language. And I was like, this is a bot. 100%. It's a bot. The account was formed in November. It only comments on liberal women's things, making fun of them. Right. Like, it's a bot, So I went from, ouch, gosh, this was such a raw, vulnerable post, and this man is attacking me, to, oh, wait, there's no man.
There's no man there. That's not a person.
So do not underestimate how fake the internet is. Like, the dead internet theory is quite real. It's been real for at least 10 years. And in 10 more years, when we look back, we're going to be appalled at how much we took seriously these internet phenomenon. So use the internet as a social media, use it as an amuse-bouche to then find the appetizer, which is the books or the podcasts, and then maybe an entree, like a workshop or a container or a class or a retreat, and then that's where it's a pipeline, Social media should never be it.
Breathe in with me. Hold. Now release. One more time. Breathe in. Hold and release. Resets like this are essential for our nervous system, for our stress levels, bringing us back to a foundation where we can think clearly, where we have more energy. And this is why I created the Witches Reset. This is a 5-day audio program where I guide you through essential practices to bring you back to your baseline so you can think clearly and build something meaningful. To learn more, check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, leandrawitchwood.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the program. For now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it always baffles me how social media became so antisocial.
Oh my God, I know. The way people
it was meant to pull people together, and it does the opposite. It repels us.
Yeah. I actually shared this on Instagram. I'm going to pull up the post so I can quote it correctly. It was from a creator who was having a really important conversation that I actually had no concept needed to even be had. And it scared me. Genuinely, I felt the blood drain from my face. Because I just didn't understand that this is actually the way a lot of people think. So she shared basically saying offline is not an aesthetic.
Wow.
And she had to literally say, all I'm seeing is people buying things to create an analog home, or how to create an analog life. And analog life is like becoming code for and it's things like, I don't like, it's so simple. It's like I read a book in the evening, like things that are just real life. Like I have friends over for dinner. And so I wanted to speak to this because we need to remember that the internet is not the world. It is a tool to find the world, to find places and people in the world that you need to bring into your life. Because even the online relationships I have a few friends that I'll never meet in person, most likely, or that I might meet in person once or twice. I have friends that I meet in person like once every 2 to 3 years. And the internet's fantastic because it keeps us linked. But those aren't the people that are really in my life. You know, as much as I might wish they could be, you know, time and space is just a thing sometimes. They're not the ones who would drive into the airport or watch my cats while I travel or come to my birthday party or, you know, like your real friends and family and chosen family is your real life, you know? So I just really want people to recognize how important it is to use the internet only as a tool. Do not let it use you.
Right. Yeah. And it's meant to connect us. So if we're using language like that, where we're drawing these lines, us versus them, your lifestyle is not valid because I don't see it as valid. That's a problem. That does the opposite of what social media is supposed to do. It's supposed to be social. It's supposed to bring us together. It's supposed to connect us with people that, you know, we can't hop in a car and go visit, or walk down the street and visit, or invite to our birthday party and have them physically be there. And if we totally devoid ourselves, totally remove ourselves from the physical experience of having people, we also remove some of the most deepest relationships we could possibly have. And now, good example, I have a group of women that we meet every single Monday. We've done this for almost a year now. And we met initially in person. We got to know each other in person. And then we set up this meeting where we get together every Monday and we sit for 2 hours in a virtual meeting and we talk and we share each other's day. We do magic together. It's a covenant, really, is what it's turned out to be. It's a little coven.
So cute. A covenant.
It is.
In Greek, you could call it a covenike.
Yeah.
In Greek, we had Ike at the end of things to be
Ike.
like, so cute and small.
It's so cute. Yeah. And we're planning a retreat together in September. So we're all going to meet in the Adirondacks at the one property that the one woman owns in the group. And we are going to have our own little weekend together. So we're going to do brunch. We're going to do rituals together. We're going to hang out in the woods and, sing to the full moon, or it's going to be a new moon. But, we already have like other things planned where we can again come together in person and be together. Yeah. Even though we see each other every Monday virtually, it's not enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important for us to remember, is that virtually is not enough. We still need to hug people. We still need to share a meal together, be in the same room together, be in the same car together. I think the those people who, especially, I look at my son in this generation who their experience is almost 100% digital. And I can see how it disconnects him from the reality of things, what reality is. It is augmenting things that if we keep going down this trajectory, like, what is that going to change? It's bone chilling. Like, what is that going to change? What does that mean for community?
Yeah.
How are we going to show up for each other if somebody needs us? Not even beyond like feeding the cat and driving to the airport type thing, but there's something beneficial to having someone physically there, willing to show up for you in that way. There's something profound about it.
And I'll say this too, because a lot of listeners might be like, great, but I literally live in a place where it's illegal to practice witchcraft. Or I live in a place where, I can't drive.
Nothing.
I'm physically disabled. I'm chronically ill. There's a lot of reasons why a person might feel that they can't, physically meet up with people. I will say Zoom calls really do feel like you are hanging out with that person, especially if you're energetically open with each other. So I sometimes will look back at a memory and have to think to myself, was that on Zoom or were we hanging out in my kitchen? And I have to really think about it. Especially with Leandra and I, because sometimes we do record in person together. Sometimes we're, online. So I literally can't remember sometimes if it was an in-person thing or not. But that's because it's camera on, we're talking.
Yep.
I think the bigger problem with social media and, to bring it back to learning, that teacher doesn't know you. That person online does not know you. So they can't even if you commented and asked a question about the post, they can't give you the advice a teacher who knows you could give you. If you get a live reading from a stranger, they're not going to know how to read that card for you, as well as somebody who knows you. And I think that's been something I've really enjoyed with putting together online containers the past couple of years, is finding the ways to use music, movement, cameras on, holding space outside of the calls in different ways. Those things to really create a holistic community have been powerful. And then what I've noticed, I've never had a container where I don't end up meeting them in person. Maybe they come to Samhainfest, the festival I host for Samhain, shameless plug. Leandra's there too. It's really fun in Maryland in Samhain time. Maybe they come to a retreat with me in Greece. Maybe they come to one of my Equinox Day retreats that I host in Maryland. But I will meet them. Maybe they come to a book signing. But eventually there is this draw to get to know each other in person. And that's because it enhances so much. Even if you only meet them in person one time, your spiritual teacher is going to have a better engagement with your energy because of that. And that's the other reason, if it's possible at all for you, doing ritual with other people is very important for your spiritual journey. Even if it's not all the time, for most of us, it isn't. It's not really supposed to be all the time. Yeah. But having that experience of energy in a sacred circle with others, it improves your relationship with your own energy innumerably.
Yeah. And you can do that online. You can do that with other people. We do that 100%. Twice a month. In the Rebel Mystic Coven, we get together twice a month. I host one free class for the entire community. Then I host a ritual, an active ritual behind a paywall, where that's where the deep work is. So, but in both cases, what we do is we come together, we open a circle together, we engage in magic together. We end it always with just an open discussion. Let me get to know you. Let me know my students. What are you struggling with? What can we talk? What questions do you have? So that when we do meet in person, when I do host in-person retreats, we already know each other. And the last retreat I did, it was great because we were meeting online with each other for 6 months. And then we got to meet in person. And now it's new friendships, new relationships, new magical experiences.
And that's the other thing, it just filters, So you'll have somebody in a container together. They end up realizing they only live a few hours apart. And now they start to form their own thing. That's what I've been so happy about in facilitating online, is my goal is always to figure out how to move that offline, even if that's just for the individual at home. Your witchcraft practice cannot be, you scrolling. It has to eventually be you at the altar, or the proverbial altar. Maybe you do your magic in nature and you don't have a physical altar. That's fine. Yeah. But having,
and I think that's and I think that's a big issue right now, is that most witches are practicing with their thumb, just scrolling. And that's not practicing it in what we call it, the armchair witches, where you're just sitting in a chair or you're sitting in bed and you're living vicariously through others. That's not practicing your craft. And I don't want it to be harsh. I don't want to sound harsh. I don't want to sound judgy, but it's a reality. It's a reality that if we're not owning our practice, if we're not taking time to say, oh, you know what? Okay, I like what this influencer said. Let me go deeper with them. They said something that struck with me. It struck a chord. Now I need to go to their website, to their container, to their classes, and I need to experience it further. I need to know them more. I need to, and chances are they probably have some class that's, a few bucks that you can get to know them, or maybe they host a free event. I do that all the time. I host free events. I host events that are low cost as that invitation, like, come get to know me.
Yeah.
Come
I host
hang
weekly
out with me.
free events, y'all. Every Wednesday, 10 a.m. I'm doing free live readings for Sacred Wild Wednesdays. I do live readings and we share the magical musings, and it's such a fun community. So yeah, I think that's where the discernment's important, is who are you learning from and who are they? Who are you learning from? And
how available are they making themselves? Are they making themselves available for you to know them better? Or are they just hiding behind this social media facade where they just want to deliver, but there's no reciprocity there?
And I'm a big advocate for diversity. Like, definitely, I would never say you should only ever learn witchcraft or magic or priestess work from one person, ever. Like, even if you find your group and you have a high priestess, and, even if you study with me for a whole year, in that whole year, I will probably be sending you, workshops from a friend of mine, or this person I saw on Instagram is hosting this free live. Why don't you join? Or, hey, I'm in this summit with these diverse teachers. Sign on up. Because it's important to me. Like, I've actually had students be like, hey, I hope this isn't offensive. I'm also in another class right now. And I'm like, excellent, 5 stars. That's what I want to hear. And I think that's also something to look for, are your teachers open to that? Because I think they should be. Honestly, I do.
They shouldn't. Yeah. Your teacher should not be the be all end all, because that's not reality. And as your practice evolves and grows, you're going to evolve and grow. That means the teacher that you've been working with for a year, 2 years, that you're probably going to outgrow them. That doesn't mean that you have to disown them or totally, separate yourself. You can still take value from what they have, but you might look around going, okay, I need something a little more deep. This maybe this person focuses only on this topic, so I need more of this topic over here. Look around, start exploring. Don't be afraid to assert that this is what I need in my practice, and I need to find somebody who is willing to teach me that, who is available, who makes themselves available. And that's something that I've seen time and time again in my community. I've had people come in, and I survey my community all the time because I want to know what they need. I want to know what programs I should be developing for them. I want to know what topics I should be teaching. And many times I've had people come in, they're like, oh, I'm a member of 5 different covens or programs. And every time I go into my list of things that I want to do, yours is at the top because you have integrity, because you teach me what I want to know, what I need to know, what I'm seeking, what I'm aching to understand about myself and my craft. And you want to find teachers who are willing to know you, willing to know your craft, willing to know what you need most. And in the same breath, the one that is willing to say, you know what, that's not my expertise, but you know what, this person over here, you might be better served by them. Enjoy. Let them know I sent you, that sort of thing. So important.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine arriving somewhere built to hold you. Stone paths leading to hidden caves of the goddess. Salt water clearing away old patterns. Long tables of food and friendship shared beside a sunset. Temples of the old gods. alive in and around you. You are invited to join me in Greece on an in-person pilgrimage through ancient temples and landscapes where women once gathered to grieve, rest, and remember themselves. We travel to the Temple of Artemis, Hecate's cave at Eleusis. We swim inside a temple of Hera and enter a hidden goddess cave and sacred sites to Aphrodite and Medusa. Our days are shaped by land, water, and ritual. Our nights are spent at a private villa with expansive views, a private pool, deep rest, and exceptional food prepared with care. This retreat is for women and non-binary seekers carrying exhaustion, grief, or a long history of holding it together. Join us at elisewells.com/feminine wound, where spots still remain. The land can hold it. Come to Greece and answer that call to heal. So I want to go back to something we said about showing up. You know, that I like how you said that we can't practice with our thumbs as we're scrolling. The thumbs are important when we're at the altar.
They are,
lifting those candles and lighters and whatever, but not the whole experience, right? So what that I wanted to address this because literally this morning, we record on Wednesdays right after Sacred Wild Wednesdays. So this morning in Sacred Wild Wednesdays, somebody said, I don't often identify as a witch because I don't do spells that very often. And I said, well, wait a minute here. Spells are one. Okay, we could call it an important pillar of witchcraft for sure, but it's not the end all be all of being a witch. One of the students in there, actually, she said something beautiful. She said, witches contain multitudes. I said, absolutely. I don't do spells that often, or the spells I do not look like an ingredients list or a recipe. I do a lot of spells that are just with what I have. I'm pointing like you can see it, people, but you can't. But I have a candle. It's my spell candle. Yeah, I have some incantations written down over there that I can kind of pick and choose from because I know what they do and I know how they work for me. So I can just say that this is the one for this morning. I do protection work every morning over here. But when I light that candle, I petition a god or, usually my goddess. And it follows a structure, but it doesn't look like a spell that you're going to read online. Like it's like a spell jar, for example. Those are very rare for me. I only do those to initiate big transformations for myself. So when I'm calling in the next container group, or when I'm calling in, like right now, I'm in flux with some publishing contracts. So I've been doing cycle spells for that. So that looks like me drumming and calling on Hephaestus, actually, because he's my creative god who works with me on these things, and working just basically sending gratitude and love to him to then keep this working every day, working towards what's out of my control at this point for it to work towards what it needs to be. So spells don't have to look like the jars. They don't have to look like ingredients. They don't even have to look like writing the petition every time. I sometimes just channel what I need to share and let it out with my words or my voice through singing. Sometimes there is no words needed to petition. And if all of this is feeling confusing and you're like, wait, what is a petition? It's because a 7-second video can't explain that. Yeah. So
not fully.
Yeah. So come on in, come on over. I'm always teaching it in Sacred Wild Wednesdays, but also, join a container. My next one's in June. Let's go.
And I think that's a very good point to make, is that spellcraft does not have to be complicated. And that's been like the foundation of everything that I teach is simplicity. Because if it's not simple, if it's not easy, if it's not readily accessible to you, you're not going to do it. Yeah. You're going to find every excuse in the book. Oh, I don't have I don't have all the ingredients. I don't have the right space. I don't have the time. At the time of recording this, we just finished the Rite of the Unbroken Cord, which is simple, not magic. Really a piece of string and some knots. Easy. And we're finishing up the Rite of the Heartfire Forge, which is literally an amulet, a piece of jewelry that you wear that we're infusing with self-love, anchoring, and easy, like things you already have on hand, things that you don't have to go search for, because I'm not going to give you a 50 ingredient list to do a simple ritual or a rite or to bring in some more abundance in your life. And the focus really is that I've been working on with my community is let's fortify ourselves. Let's bring ourselves into prosperity so we are anchored so then we can overflow our cup and feed the rest of the world. And it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that's such a big issue is that everything, well, if I don't do it exactly right, if I don't have all the exact ingredients, I have to have this laundry list in front of me. It's not going to work. And that's not true. It's not true. Really, like you said, like Elise said, you need your voice, you need drumming, you need chime bells, you need to clap your hands, whatever works, however you feel energy raise in your body. And I think that's one thing that is a good point to make is sometimes we're just so disconnected from our bodies that raising energy, we don't know what that feels like. We don't know what it feels like around us, within us. So we don't know that we're already doing it. We don't know that we're already manifesting it. And a lot of the times what I notice for my manifestations is I don't do anything. I just simply lean into hey, that would be nice to have. And then boom, it happens. It's when I lean in too hard, that's when things get complicated. That's when it becomes blockages when they show up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Knowing if you're a passive or an active manifester is very important.
Yeah.
Things a teacher will tell you. Mm-hmm. And that's the discernment too, you know, like, is this spell listing 10 ingredients because they're a shop that sells them? You know, like
exactly.
A lot of times that's what's going on. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't use frankincense. But do you need 2 tablespoons of frankincense oil that takes 25 years for that plant to grow? And you know what I mean? Like that's the other thing that we've talked about before, so I won't go into it. We talked about it in I forget the name of the episode. I think it was discernment. Yeah,
I think it was one of our discernment ones. Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about misusing resources in spells and like how to honor the energy of a thing without wasting the thing, because really our ancestors worked with what grew in the sidewalk cracks. Yeah. Not these imported beauties. So you don't need
and now it's nice to have a kit. Like I will offer ritual kits when I do a big event, when I'm doing a big global event, I will offer ritual kits for purchase, but I make like 35 of them. That's it. So if you miss out on that kit, it's gone. I'm not making it again because of the resources, because of the sacredness of it, because you don't need something that's mass produced. And I think that's a big issue with the commodification of everything that we do, is that it starts becoming mass produced instead of carefully crafted, curated. And I've been in live events where like, oh, I want a kit. How do I get a kit? And they're already sold out. I'm like, sorry, there's no more. I'm not making any more because I'm not there it's there to help get you started. It's not there to carry you. And when we're looking at things to carry us instead of stepping into our own power, that's an issue. So I encourage you, like if you're thinking, oh, I need to have the things, take a step back and recognize maybe I don't. Maybe it's okay for me to just use my body, use my voice, use my movement, use the moon, use the sun, use the grass beneath my feet, the earth, to help me, to call your power from the earth and claim it as your own. That's powerful right there. And it's so simple. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to have anything.
So at the beginning of the episode, I told everybody I also wanted to speak to a little bit of the new TikTok policies that have come out since 2026 began, because I think witches should be aware. I don't want to say afraid because I don't think that's a productive emotion here, but aware and make smart choices. So TikTok, in their new terms and conditions, if you agree to those, you agree for TikTok to use precise location data and device-related signals. So not only will it listen to you everywhere you go, but they can ping your phone to find your location. And this is particularly concerning because the company that has bought TikTok, they own 80.1% of its stock, is named Oracle. And this company is working with the U.S. government to create essentially surveillance. So it is very much, and where are most of these protest videos being posted? TikTok. So it is very much a direct reaction to that, to knowing that if things are filmed and enough witnesses see it and film it, that a thing becomes irrefutable. They know that that's their biggest threat. So they are trying to take that out and take out each of you with it. So I would never in a million years agree to those conditions. If you have already, you can still delete your account, but you have to delete it. So I'm trying to figure out how to get in there since I don't have the app anymore. I haven't had the app for a couple of years, but I know my account is still there. So I have to figure out how to get in there. I think I have to go through incognito mode. So I'm still researching that. If anyone's looking, I think incognito mode is the way you log in on a browser on your computer or on your phone, but browser mode. And then you can delete your account without logging into it. So anyway, very important to remove it. The other thing to know if you're a creator, and this especially goes for poets and writers, you are giving TikTok a perpetual worldwide royalty-free license. This is their terminology. That is the most usage of a thing you could give a person or an entity in the world. So they're claiming it's to use for ads, but it's allowing them to use all of your content forever in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So your poetry, if you try to publish it elsewhere, it will be considered copyright infringement. And those are your words. So if you're using poetry in your captions on TikTok, you can't publish them elsewhere, ever. So that's horrific. That's horrific. As a writer, that runs my blood cold. And then also all your videos. So as a spiritual teacher, I can't share anything of substance on TikTok safely if I wanted to. No. I don't. But if I wanted to, because of that. And on Instagram, I'm also kind of pulling back on the depth of what I share, which I feel like I already feel limited in depth just because of the nature of the platform. But to now know that
there's privacy issues with Meta all over the place too. Like in December 2025, Meta updated their policy to allow the AI to harvest information from Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, and Threads. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's across, privacy issues are across the board. So you're probably going to see creators with integrity who have substance to share, who have the deep stuff pulling back because they can't lose that to this conglomerate.
Mm-hmm. It's why we both host, and every teacher I know, we host our classes nowhere privately. Near Meta. I don't have Facebook groups, for example, for my classes. I don't, because that is giving an invitation for, if something's free, right? All these social media apps are quote unquote free monetarily.
Oh, you're paying for it with your data.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing's free.
So just know that. I wanted to put that out there in case people did not know that about TikTok and its new policies. And we have to keep our eyes open because I think Meta is going to probably end up doing the same. Preemptively, a lot of us are just, essentially doing less deep work on there.
Yeah, essentially they're already doing it. Just, I think TikTok got a little bit more of a slam because they were sold right at the time when they did that.
Mm-hmm. So, well, this is the most aggressive. Their new terms of service policy is the most aggressively controlling policy ever created for social media, ever. So it is, but it's going to set a precedent. Is the worry moving forward? So just know that, keep it in your radar, and look for spaces off platforms like that, off of the free platforms. I run on Kartra, you run on Ivory. You might see your people running on Circle. These are all private communities that we pay a premium. Trust us.
So we don't have that.
So our IPs are protected.
Yes.
So just look out for that sort of thing as well. Mm-hmm. Just know that you're going to see a lot less deep information online probably moving forward because of that.
Yeah. I know I won't be sharing deep stuff.
Yeah. So everybody, I hope we didn't scare you a little too much, but we're just trying to keep it real.
We're not trying to terrify you, I promise.
Yeah, I just think there is a need for a bit of a harder it's a hard conversation to have, but it's an important one.
It is. Yeah, we need to look at the reality of our consumption, of where our eyeballs go.
Yeah. Consumption's the word. I mean, really stop. Yeah. We need to, as witches, as earth-based practitioners, we have got to stop consuming. I mean, it's gotten to the
back
point.
To the earth.
Yeah. I mean, know that everything you buy ends up in a landfill. Everything. Unless it's biodegradable. So really doing that discernment, knowing you don't really need stuff, focusing on your energy, because this is spirit work. Even if you don't work with deities, you're working with your higher self, or you're working with the land, or it's
energy.
Spirits. It's energy. It's not physical media, physical stuff. It is energy. So you got this. You got this. You have everything you need. Your body is the altar. Your witchcraft practice is personal. Everything you need is within you.
Merry meet.
Merry part. And merry meet again.
Thank you for joining us on the Magic Kitchen podcast. Please visit my website, leandrawitchwood.com, for news, information, and more episodes.
I'm Elise Wells. You can learn more about my current offerings and my upcoming retreats to Greece at elisewells.com. That's ELYSEWELLES.com.
Did you know you can get a free reading from me every single Wednesday at 10 a.m.? Join me in my live devotional space for Sacred Wild Wednesdays. We gather live on a webinar for free readings with oracle texts and tarot decks, magical musings on the moment, and some grounded spiritual guidance rooted in land. If you're craving a pause, a recalibration, and some community, you are so warmly invited to join us. Visit elisewells.com/sacredwildwednesdays to register and get the link straight to your inbox every Wednesday.